Favorite Grammy Award-winning podcast. It is Lost in the Midcard. This is a special Friday afternoon edition. I'm actually recording on Friday afternoon, February 5th. I apologize that I could not get a show out to you on last night. I was just a little too wiped out from work that day, passed out early, and so unfortunately I couldn't get you a show on Thursday. And unfortunately, my co-host, Matt Black, on the Twitter at Raw Showtime, is also absent due to the sick bug. He's still in that Ironman match with the sick bug. So hopefully Matt gets well soon. As always, thank you to SpiderDuck.net for enabling us to be on iTunes. And you can subscribe to us on iTunes or any of your favorite podcasting apps. Just go to the app and search for Lost in the Midcard and subscribe to us, and you'll know every time that a new show comes your way, which will be every Thursday typically, and every Monday after the pay-per-view. Of course, this one will be a special Friday episode, and then I am leaving town for a trip that got postponed thanks to the blizzard. That trip is now moved to this coming week, and I think we will come at you with an earlier show, a little more condensed, more like a quick SmackDown Raw preview, pending that Matt is healthy enough to join us, that is, of course. And we will come at you with that hopefully on Tuesday. So it'll be a special Tuesday episode of Lost in the Midcard. And we'll get that live for you before I leave the state. We got a bunch of headlines here to cover. First off, let's start off with some sad news, though. We had learned just the other day that WWE Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart has taken to the Facebook page to announce that he unfortunately has been diagnosed with testicular cancer or prostate cancer. And from his Facebook page, his note said, "It is with great remorse that I feel compelled to speak truthfully to my friends, family, and my millions of fans around the world. In the past few years, I've spent more than enough time paying the price for all those years trying to be the best there ever was a professional wrestler. I executed excellently, and my proudest claim is that I never seriously was hurt or injured another wrestler in my 23-year career. I've paid the price for all that quote-unquote fake wrestling. Aside from a devastating career-ending concussion and numerous surgeries when I was younger in recent years, I've had 2 knee replacements, 2 hernia operations, surgery on my elbow, and just a few months ago I underwent a 4-corner fusion on my right wrist that now makes it more difficult to type or write. But he says that he's going to fight through this courageously, and he beat the odds in 2002 when he had a stroke. So this is just another obstacle for him to overcome. So it's good to hear some positive words from the Hitman with the bad news that he has let us know. But thankfully, prostate cancer, if kind of at the right time, prostate cancer can definitely be beaten, and it's been beaten more times than it hasn't. So thankfully, hopefully it's a nice easy recovery for Bret the Hitman Hart, and I know Matt would say the same thing. Us at Lost in the Midcard definitely wish the Hitman well on his journey to become healthier and fight this cancer. So some big news from Ring of Honor this week, as 3 of their top stars have been re-signed for Ring of Honor. It was just announced last week that Jay Lethal, the current world champion, and Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly have been re-signed to Ring of Honor, and so they will continue to compete throughout 2016 for the promotion. Obviously, Jay Lethal, the biggest name in Ring of Honor right now, and Kyle O'Reilly is going to be facing him along with Adam Cole in a triple threat for that World Heavyweight Championship here at the anniversary show is just less than 2 weeks away. So that's just now coming up. I know Matt doesn't like Bobby Fish. I'm a Bobby Fish fan, and I'm a big Kyle O'Reilly fan. He reminds me completely of Daniel Bryan. So and then we said on the show last week that Matt thinks that Kyle O'Reilly is going to come out with the title at the anniversary show. So it's definitely I have a good feeling it's going to be up there for match of the year for Ring of Honor. It's going to be a great competitive match, and look forward to see who comes out of there. But it's good to see three of their bigger stars are locked up for the next year. Also on Ring of Honor, this was reported by Mike Johnson from PW Insider, and also Dave Shearer, that Sinclair Broadcasting has closed a deal to acquire the Tennis Network. Now, on the surface, this seems kind of weird, but when you look at the rumors, it sounds like this could be a nice step for Ring of Honor, as it is obviously Ring of Honor is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, and the rumor is that the Tennis Channel could be rebranded to the American Sports Network and be relaunched, and Ring of Honor could be on that programming. The big thing about this is the Tennis Channel is on a lot of networks. Right now, Ring of Honor is only on Sinclair stations. Thankfully, I get one. It's also on Comet, but Comet is a very new new channel, just launched in October. I don't get it currently, but I do get the Tennis Channel. So if they do rebrand this into what they think is the American Sports Network, and we get Ring of Honor in that, then it's going to be in a lot of homes, and a lot of people are going to get to see a great product. So stay tuned. If we hear any more on this, we'll definitely report it. But some big news possibly for a television deal for Ring of Honor. Just earlier this week, Mike Johnson on the audio section of PW Insider Elite, which you can subscribe to. Please do, because we, both Matt and I, fully endorse the subscribing to PW Insider Elite, and we are, of course, both members. And Mike Johnson said that it is possible that he's heard rumors that Braun Stroman has actually been very impressive in the ring. I don't know about impressive, maybe better, and they're just kind of holding it back. They're not showing all their cards with Braun Strowman just yet. And Mike Johnson talked about how that might change, where we actually see Braun Strowman actually wrestle and such against The Undertaker. Well, there's also a rumor that he's going to face the Big Show at Fastlane. But just recently, we got a rumor killer that it came out from Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer, has stated that due to the backlash of the possibility of an Undertaker Braun Strowman WrestleMania match, which again I can't believe it was even considered. While Brian Alvarez said that it was on the cards, he now says he is reporting that it's off the cards. So why don't we just take this opportunity at Fastlane with Strowman facing the Big Show and show us all that improvement that he is in the ring? Make us care about Braun Strowman as a wrestler, to the fact that we want to see him in the ring competing. Right now, we don't want to fucking see him in the ring. He is terrible from what we've seen. And, and Vince obviously has a hard-on for him, booking him as strong as can be, but, I mean, come on, it's like Nathan Jones, he's got the look, intimidation, all that, and you get him in the ring and he's a pile of shit, and so we want you to prove us wrong. Just unleash Strowman at Fastlane against the Big Show to give us something to talk about. I know that they probably wanted to kind of hide that and maybe make that kind of a surprise talked about moment at WrestleMania, but nobody's going to want to give a shit. They're going to watch Taker's introduction, his entrance into the ring at WrestleMania, which will be grand as fuck. It might be his last WrestleMania ever. And then they're going to probably want to get a hot dog or go to the bathroom or something. They're not going to want to watch the match. So you got to prove to us before you give it to us. And so hopefully they listen. Sounds like, according to Brian Alvarez with the Wrestling Observer, that they did listen and are pulling that off the cards. Again, I'm pulling for Kevin Owens or Samoa Joe to face The Undertaker at WrestleMania, while neither is, no word that Joe's going to be promoted yet. A lot of people think it might not be until the night after WrestleMania. As for Kevin Owens, he currently doesn't have a feud long-term for WrestleMania. He's in a great short-term feud with Dolph Ziggler, but that's got to end at Fastlane. I think they've had so many matches between now and when they get to Fastlane that the feud's got to end there. So Kevin Owens has got to move on, presumably win, so then he can call it the Undertaker possibly the night on the Raw after Fastlane. We'll see what happens there though, with how that progresses. And unfortunately, injuries are still mounting up for the WWE. It's insane. The first one we're going to talk about, though, is a big one. And unfortunately, it is Sheamus, of course, from the League of Nations. We got a kind of an interesting tweet from Sheamus where his arm was in a cast. And, unfortunately, he's dealing with tendonitis in his right arm. Thankfully, he's been pulled from physical activity. No timetable for his return. The cast is just precautionary. So just rest and healing. So obviously, thankfully, it ain't that bad of an injury. I'm assuming he can still be on TV. Hell, go Cowboy Bob Orton on it and use that cast. Knock out whoever you're going up against. I think that'd be kind of interesting. But unfortunately, Rusev's been dealing with some minor injuries. Even Del Rio, the whole League of Nations, Rusev included, have been dealing with minor injuries. Wade Barrett's has been a little more major. And hopefully Wade Barrett can get back into the swing of things soon to just kind of keep the stable going, because it's a great heel stable. I really dig it. Overall, with the exception of any time they're in the ring with Roman Reigns, it's been booked well. So, and even a lot of segments with Reigns, it's been booked well. We'll talk about SmackDown this week. We'll talk about that with our Tuesday podcast, hopefully with Matt returning. And we'll kind of go over how SmackDown went down, but Roman Reigns did take on Rusev, and didn't quite get the upper hand with the League of Nations for a change. League of Nations actually ganged up on him. So, the League of Nations has been booked well, considering they've been racked with injuries. And so hopefully Sheamus and the rest of the league can get healthy as soon as possible and keep some momentum running for this year. Another scary injury. Ty Dillinger has a badly strained knee. Thankfully, it's not a tear or anything like that, but he suffered this injury over the weekend while facing Sami Zayn in Detroit at a live event. Dillinger was going for a suplex, and the landing kind of screwed up his knee, so it's just badly strained. Thankfully, no tears or anything. And I'm a big fan of the Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger, and hopefully he'll be okay to have some kind of a moment or something at NXT Dallas, because obviously I'm going to be heading there along with Matt, and he's definitely one of the guys I want to at least meet and get a picture with. So hopefully we get to see him in action. So to Ty Dillinger, get well soon, buddy. And not just the WWE that has been facing the injury bug, it is TNA as well, and unfortunately it's a bad one. I have not seen any updates yet, but it looks like torn knee ligaments for Davey Richards of the Wolves, who are the current TNA Tag Team Champions. So expect something to come up very soon for the tag team change. But God, it sucks because they've had to relinquish the tag titles due to injury before. And Davey Richards is definitely my favorite of the two guys, and I just love everything he does inside of the ring and promo wise. He's one of my favorite guys in TNA. So it's sad to see that it's possibly that he tore his meniscus. So again, let's give well wishes to Davey Richards for hopefully a speedy recovery, because the Wolves are a fun tag team, and TNA definitely needs them. All right, some Lucha Underground updates, and for the first time, we're going to talk Lucha Underground on this podcast, and I'm going to break down the very first episode of Lucha Underground for Season 2 later on in the show, and boy, it was phenomenal. I loved it, especially the opening. We'll get to that in a moment. But some updates for Lucha. The second season has already begun filming, and it sounds like the total of episodes in the second season will be in the high 20s, down from 39 last season. They did have quite a bit of episodes for the first season, so they're going to do it in the high 20s. Maybe that's a part of the way for them to kind of cut the cost, because it's a very expensive show to film. But so that's the announcement for the second season. And then we got an announcement later on from the third season, and it was announced just on the 1st of February that a third season of Lucha Underground has been greenlit, so I am very happy about that. And like I said, we're going to cover Lucha Underground on this podcast. Unfortunately, Matt does not get the English version, does not get El Rey, which sucks because El Rey's a great network. They show some great kind of B movies and stuff, and overall, it's just a great network. So, and Lucha Underground fits right in there, and lots of different things they do, and I love it. So, we'll looking forward to talking about season 2 and where they go from here. Some interesting news on the UK tour for TNA. They dodged a bullet because Kurt Angle had his farewell tour, and on the very first night of the tour, it looked like Kurt Angle was in bad shape after his match with Drew Galloway. There was fear that Angle had suffered a concussion, but thankfully he felt a lot better after the match, about a half hour after the match, and was cleared by doctors. And so he was allowed to compete the very next night against Bobby Roode. So his contract is coming to an end as he finishes his tapings. He's going to end his career, I believe, with a match against Lashley to end the tour. And another interesting note on the UK tour, Awesome Kong, who is now the leader of the Dollhouse, she has been sent home as she got into a physical altercation with Rebby Sky. And rumors were that you could see marks around Rebby's throat. And so while we don't know quite the details around all that, we do know that Kong was sent home from the tour. That's definitely not a good thing as well, as Kong is one of their top draws in the company. And TNA released the following official statement in regards to that and said, prior to the Impact Wrestling TV taping at Manchester Arena, Kia Stevens, a.k.a. Awesome Kong, was involved in an incident revolving Rebecca Hardy, or Rebby Sky. Subsequently, Kia was removed from a tour and returned to the United States. The matter is being reviewed to determine if any additional disciplinary action will be taken. So we will let you know here on Lost in the Midcard if there's any update on Kong and what kind of discipline that she will face. It's not a good idea to get in an altercation with a woman who's involved in the main event right now. And of course is obviously the wife of Matt Hardy, but also is a major on camera role as well. So not too smart, but we'll see where that goes. Some updates here from a guy that we've been waiting for ever since he's been announced. Shinsuke Nakamura update. He has officially finished up with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he was set to arrive in the Performance Center earlier this week. So he'll be doing some training and handling matters. And he was spotted at the JFK airport just on Groundhog Day, and with Sho Funaki. And so everything is in place. He's getting everything ducks in a row before he gets to the Performance Center, and then gets ready for his debut at TakeOver Dallas. And for those that did not know who his opponent is, we did give that on last week's edition of Lost in the Midcard. At the end of the show, we had some major NXT spoilers that were so huge we had to talk about them. So if you fast forward to the end of our show last week, or if you didn't listen to the show last week, go ahead and just listen to the whole thing. Thank you. And we'll let you know who Nakamura is facing. We'll keep that a secret for now because we don't want to give away any spoilers for NXT. And one last final note for Nakamura. Tokyo Sports in Japan is reporting that Nakamura has signed a 3-year deal with the WWE. Oh boy, I cannot wait. Swig of Rockstar for the working man. One-man show today, so I gotta quickly get in some sips when I can. I don't get a chug-a-lug here when with my co-host talking here. So haven't gone solo. This is only the second time I've ever gone solo on a podcast. The first time was WrestleMania weekend recap. I think Matt was suffering from a WrestleMania hangover because he got sick when he got home from that trip. And so this is only the second episode of almost 60 episodes that I've done solo. So hopefully I'm not boring you to death. And unfortunately we don't get any any good trash talk between me and Matt this week, but hopefully we'll get that coming to you next week. Couple other quick notes here for headlines. AJ Styles is working his final independent date tonight, actually, February 5th, and that is for Georgia Premier Wrestling at the old Buffington Elementary in Canton, Georgia. He's going to face Corey Hollis, and then he'll begin making live appearances for the WWE starting on Saturday. And so if you're in the Canton, Georgia area, and if it's not sold out already, damn, go to that show. Get a look at AJ Styles in his final indie performance before he gets full-time into the WWE. WWE also issued a survey to fans on their mailing list, gauging interest at potential discounts, free giveaways, in combination to live event and action figure purchases. Some of the options they wanted feedback on were buying a certain amount of figures and being rewarded with a live event ticket, a reward system for discounts on figures and tickets, and a free action figure giveaway immediately with a live ticket purchase, and getting a discount coupon for an action figure if you've made a live ticket purchase. And that was reported there by Mike Johnson at PW Insider as well. I think it's a great idea that they're looking into this. One thing I don't have is actually I have one wrestling action figure. I did in college, right towards my tail end of college in the Attitude Era, I did buy a Lita figure because I was completely in love with Lita. Who wasn't? And so, but I think it'd be kind of cool to start getting, collecting some figures down the road. And if the WWE is giving me this option by rewarding me with a discount or a free figures or vice versa, I think it's a great idea. So it's pretty cool. Obviously, these little surveys don't mean much in terms of set in stone that things are going to happen. But it's kind of cool that the WWE is looking into it, though. Some interesting, or not interesting, but some great news that long-awaited autobiography of WWE Hall of Famer Pat Patterson is going to be released this August by ECW Press. And obviously, Pat Patterson's story is amazing, and he's the first gay superstar ever for the WWE. And actually, the name of the book is called Accepted, with a subtitle of How the First Gay Superstar Changed the WWE. And the promotional material for the book reads as follows. When Pat Patterson was 17 years old, his parents threw him out of the house after he told him he was in love with a man. Cast off to the United States from Montreal in the 1960s, barely knowing a word of English, he set about a new life as a wrestler. Long before being gay was routinely accepted, Pat lived in the super macho world of professional wrestling. One of the most unlikely stories of a revolutionary talent, pioneer, and creative savant, Patterson recalls the trials and tribulations as he climbed to the upper ranks of sports entertainment as a performer, and later as a backstage dignitary in this fascinating and revealing memoir. After making his mark in the ring as the prestigious first holder of WWE's Intercontinental Championship, Pat set out to conquer the WWE world behind the curtain. He became the lead creative force behind the Royal Rumble match and countless innovations that have shaped the way the WWE Universe has enjoyed sports entertainment for generations. Many fans know Pat Patterson as a ring legend, Hall of Famer, and one of Vince McMahon's stooges during the Attitude Era, but Patterson is no stooge. He has long been one of Vince McMahon's trusted advisors. His impact and performance to the stages of the WWE nearly comparable to the chairman himself. Still active in the WWE today, Pat delivers his no-holds-barred story from unknown to WWE luminary. And again, that book is called Accepted, How the First Gay Superstar Changed the WWE. And Vince McMahon has written a foreword in the book as well. And so this will be released in hardcover and ebook formats. Look for it in August. And I'm not a big book reader, but I love wrestling books, Jericho's books. Eventually I'm going to get to JTG's book. As Matt said, you got to read it. I definitely want to read Pat Patterson's story through his words in an autobiography. This just looks like a fascinating story. And Pat Patterson's one of the most liked guys in the WWE, and like it said in the press release, he's still around today. And you saw it when the Rock made his comeback to Raw, and wished Pat happy birthday as he was sitting there right by Gorilla. So very cool to see, and hopefully we get a little more glimpse into the book here as time goes on. All right, that'll do it for headlines. Let's go to the Raw recap here as we are live from Birmingham, Alabama. We are getting close to episode 1200 of Raw, and This was from this past week on the 1st of February, and we opened the show with Brock Lesnar to a gigantic ovation. And when there's Brock, there's Paul Heyman, and when there's Paul Heyman, there's a microphone, and when there's Paul Heyman with a microphone, you can tell that I will be fucking happy. And obviously, Heyman, a great promo as always. He mentioned Bray Wyatt and removing Lesnar from the title picture, which obviously is probably going to lead to a WrestleMania match between Wyatt and Lesnar. That means Heyman said Lesnar is going to enforce the 11th commandment, now shall not intentionally provoke Brock Lesnar. And so he did credit Stephanie McMahon for doing what's beast for business. Nice pun, Paul. Setting up the Ambrose versus Reigns versus Lesnar triple threat at Fastlane, and I am excited for that match for sure. I'd love to see a surprise and have my boy Ambrose win it, though it sounds like Reigns is probably going to be 99% favorite to win that match. So he talked about how he's going to Lesnar will imprison both Reigns and Ambrose into Suplex City and land some F5s on both of them, stack them on top of each other, and go on to the main event at WrestleMania, where he'll conquer the $1 billion trophy husband, Triple H. I love that he called him the $1 billion trophy husband. Oh, man. I wonder who wrote that line, if it was Triple H, Vince, or Paul. I'm going to go with probably Paul, and Triple H said, you got it, pal. So then he suggests the music hits for Dean Ambrose, and we get ourselves the first face-to-face interaction in the WWE with Dean Ambrose against Brock Lesnar. And it was something to see. It was a great opening segment. I like the line by Ambrose where he said, "Who you calling a nut job, Porky?" to old Paul Heyman. Ambrose said he isn't crazy, he isn't stupid, and he isn't scared of Brock Lesnar. He respects Lesnar, and he's there to tell Lesnar he wants the title. He wants it so bad he'll fight his own brother and Lesnar for it. And he admits he doesn't want to fight Lesnar now. He knows the beating he's going to receive at Fastlane. Take me to Suplex City, baby. And just a great segment with Ambrose facing off with Brock Lesnar. Again, like I said, something we've never seen before. And it's exciting. It's gonna be great to see Ambrose interjected into this match. And I have all the feeling in the world that it's going to be a great match. So, and also a nice refreshing start. Of course, it's always promo city to start the show. I don't think that's going to change under the tutelage of Vince, but at least it wasn't an authority running down the show, recapping last week's show type of boring promo. It was a great promo. So I definitely loved it. Next up, we get Kalisto against Rusev, and Rusev with a lovely Lana this time. So she at least valets for him when he's not hanging out with his buddies. But these guys had a pretty good match. But I think with Del Rio was on the call with JBL, Cole, and Saxton, and I think going back, like comparing to this week's SmackDown when AJ Styles took on The Miz. Getting ahead of ourselves, though. Jericho was on commentary. Jericho on commentary didn't take away from the match between AJ Styles and The Miz. I thought Del Rio on commentary and him going back and forth with Cole and JBL and Saxton, I think it took away from the match. It was hard to kind of concentrate on the match. And, so that kind of, I think that just took away from the enjoyment of the match. In the end, Rusev gets counted out. Kalisto gets the win. Of course, obviously, can you see Kalisto pinning Rusev? Well, I don't know. The way they've been booking Rusev lately, it's not that far off the realm, but so unfortunately not a great segment. But we get Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose backstage in the office of the Authority, and the WWE title is on display because your COO has the title right now. So I guess they feel they need to display it in the Authority office, and so they do the typical promo between Ambrose, Reigns, and Steph puts them in the main event of Raw against the New Day. And anytime Dean Ambrose and the New Day are in a main event of Raw, that's a good thing. So that's best for business. They also talked about Nikki Bella's neck surgery and how it was successful. looking like she'll be out of action for 6 months, and so again, wishing the best for Nikki there, and I'm sure that we'll get a full story on her road to recovery through Total Divas, and for once that'll be a reality for the quote-unquote reality show that I'll look forward to. After they showed that, Brie Bella was interviewed by Renee Young, and so Brie actually said she's optimistic that Nikki will be back soon. And then Charlotte shows up with Ric Flair and takes shots about Brie and says hope she enjoys singing home online shopping. Overall, though, I mean, even though that kind of the recap of it didn't sound great, I thought Charlotte was great on her heel work there, and clearly better heel than a face. And well, she got her daddy's genes in her. She has to be a heel. But I thought her heel delivery for the promo was great. I enjoyed it. So that's going to lead to a match between the two of them later on. The Usos come out for a match, and as I said in the open, I said we were a Grammy Award-winning podcast. Well, yeah, that's because Lillian Garcia called them Grammy Award winners. Oops. Now, I watched Raw on the DVR. This was a moment I wish I would have watched live, just to see Twitter explode with jokes. And they went to break after the Usos' entrance, so then they came back and they replayed her mistake, which was interesting because, you know, usually they don't do that. They want to sweep that under the rug. So I thought it was kind of funny that she did that. Now, it kind of makes me wonder if she did it on purpose, because Grammys are coming up here pretty soon. It made me wonder if she did that on purpose. A little bit of, you know, a little bit of kayfabe or something, you know. Just because, you know, almost everything the WWE does is written on a script. So you kind of wonder. Social Outcasts come out, and they do a little bit of talking, and I love these guys. It's so great. No Bo Dallas, unfortunately. Both Bo and Bray were not at Raw because of their grandfather. Blackjack Mulligan is in poor health. He's in the hospital for, I believe, blood clots and possibly a stroke. And he's been in some poor health for some time. And so definitely thinking about the Rotunda family there. And hopefully their grandfather can pull through this. But that was why Bo was not there on Raw. And they said he was rapping in the studio. He's putting together an album, old Bo Rida is. And he out-rapped Flo Rida on that very horrible segment. But anyway, quick match between the Usos against Curtis Axel and Adam Rose. It's good to see Social Outcasts get some good offense in. They weren't completely jobbed throughout the match, so I think, and that's the way to go. I was talking with my buddy John Canton, who owns TGRWrestling.net, and I go, this is the right way to do this, right? You know, don't all of a sudden make them winners. Kind of just gradually build them up, and he agreed. He's like, you know, these guys have been booked as jokes and losers for so long. You got to do something. You got to build up to make them credible. And so I think they are on the right path there, and hopefully they don't stray away from that path. But the Usos get the win. No surprise there. So next up was Miz TV with AJ Styles. Of course, the crowd goes wild as AJ Styles enters the ring. The Miz starts to talk about you know, obviously AJ Styles being one of them Southern hick boys from Georgia, and you know, didn't think they'd make it in the business because he was too small, and all. And every time the Miz wanted to have AJ talk about anything, he pulled the microphone away and continued to talk. Well, this went on for quite a while, and then finally, when Miz says he called Styles a rookie redneck and questioned if he would make it without the Miz's guidance in the WWE. There's no chance in hell, and Styles had enough and attacked Miz with a punch and threw Miz across the ring and unloaded some punches again. Miz escapes up the ramp, and so pretty nice little segment. I just wish we could get a promo from AJ Styles here sometime, but you know, we finally got the Styles Clash last week on SmackDown, so maybe a good promo is coming soon. It has got people worried, wondering if AJ Styles is going to be booked to not really succeed, but I mean, they're putting a lot of money into him and a lot of effort into him. Don't worry about that. Don't read into it too much. I think they're just kind of, you know, gradually getting us introduced to AJ Styles, because not everybody knows who AJ Styles is, so, you know, it just takes time. And so I think this is just a matter of just being patient and, just like the Styles Clash, just be patient. It'll come. AJ Styles is going to be just fine in the WWE and will be WWE champion someday. I guarantee that. Charlotte against Brie Bella. Of course, this started backstage. And not much to this match. Only 4 minutes long, but Brie Bella turned the figure 4 into a pin and got the surprising win over Charlotte. So I guess that is going to kind of set up a filler match at Fastlane between Brie Bella and Charlotte before we get the main course at WrestleMania, which is rumored to be a triple threat with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. So that'll be interesting. It's kind of interesting. Brie Bella been booked like a very big loser for a long time. Now all of a sudden she gets win of the champion. Probably going to win a match on Raw now because she's going to then officially face Charlotte and then get beat at Fastlane, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Big Show and Eric Rowan happened, and it only lasted about 2 minutes. Big Show won. Then the Wyatts beat down the Big Show after that. So not much happening there. Titus O'Neil took on Tyler Breeze. Again, not much happening there. Squash match, basically. Tyler Breeze must still be in that doghouse for leaving an event early. And, of course, Titus O'Neil is getting a push. So I could expect... I might expect O'Neil in the United States title picture. I would maybe guess down the future. Maybe even Intercontinental. I don't know. But definitely Titus O'Neil looking good going into 2016. Brock Lesnar's in the room. Paul Heyman when Triple H shows up. And Paul asks Paul to leave. You can probably figure out which Pauls I'm talking about. And Hunter laughed about how Ambrose got in his face into Lesnar's face earlier. Wondered if things were getting soft in Suplex City, meaning that Lesnar didn't beat down Ambrose. And Lesnar said, well, I guess we'll find out at WrestleMania. And Hunter said, I'm looking forward to it. And Lesnar goes, so am I. I'll see you there. Little tease there of a match between Triple H and Lesnar at WrestleMania that probably won't happen, but definitely love the interaction between those two. And goddamn, just let Brock Lesnar talk a little more. I mean, we got Paul Heyman. It's kind of hard, but I mean, come on. All right. We get to what has been a great in-ring feud lately between Dolph Ziggler and Kevin Owens. And to no one's surprise, they had another great match on Raw. Went about 12 minutes, but definitely one to check out if you got Hulu or whatnot. Hopefully that didn't get cut out, because for some reason the Hulu only condenses it down to like a 2-hour show. I don't understand why there. I don't know if it's a technical, contractual type of thing, but yeah, if this is on Hulu, go back, and you have a Hulu subscription, go back and get it. Otherwise, bookmark it on your calendar from a month from now when it'll be on the WWE Network, and go back and check it out, because another phenomenal match. Ended with Ziggler winning the Pop-Up Powerbomb and getting the zigzag. And Dolph Ziggler gets a win over Kevin Owens. So, and they did continue the feud on SmackDown this week. So definitely look to see Ziggler and Owens at Fastlane. And hopefully they give them 15 to 18. Because every match they've had here in this recent feud has been phenomenal. And I've thoroughly enjoyed the feud. I mean, Owens is it seems like he's got a feud with everybody. And that's the best thing to do with a heel. Is get everybody having a target on him. I mean, he had Ambrose with the Intercontinental title. You got Sami Zayn, and you got Dolph Ziggler. It's great, and you add Kalisto in there maybe too. And it's cool that a great heel like that has got a bunch of targets and a bunch of feud possibilities. But so definitely check that out. They aired a Black History Month package honoring Mark Henry in his 20-year career. It almost looked like a retirement package, but which may come soon. And hopefully he gets a nice WrestleMania moment to win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I'd love to see Mark Henry go out with that. Sasha Banks enters the ring and says that she's back. No more sitting in the back watching other divas get an opportunity. She announced that she is on her own. Nobody's going to stop her from becoming Divas champion. That led to Naomi and Tamina coming out, and there is a proud moment seeing Sasha branch out on their own, and they talk back and forth saying, oh yeah, everything's cool between the three of us, unity handshake, whatnot. And then we go to the match with Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. Unfortunately, only 4 minutes because into the match, Tamina and Naomi yank Banks out of the ring and give her a beatdown. Yeah, we all saw that coming. So now Sasha Banks officially a face, but I don't know, you see her talking to Becky Lynch on SmackDown. She's still kind of a heel, which makes her great. I mean, Banks is phenomenal. There is that, and of course Becky Lynch made the save when the two were ganging up on her after the disqualification, which was kind of interesting. Led to some NXT chants from the crowd. So I wonder if we'll get a Lynch Banks against Tamina and Naomi match at Fastlane. Maybe that could be a prime candidate for the kickoff match. Later on, Chris Jericho interviewed backstage by Renee Young, and he talks about he's been thinking about AJ Styles, the match he had with him since last week. He said everything about the match was tremendous except for the outcome, and said that what Styles did in the ring against Jericho proved to him that he is here for the long haul, and he proved it earlier when he beat the hell out of Miz on Miz TV. They announced that Styles and Miz are taking each other on SmackDown, and he says that he is very curious to see what's going to happen between those two. So Jericho acting a little heelish, which good. You know, I think we need a different Jericho because it's been kind of stale since his return. And if this leads to a long AJ Styles Jericho match at Fastlane, please give it to me. I love it. We cut to R-Truth going to the bathroom. And he opens up the stall and sees Goldust standing on the toilet. And as Goldust gets off the toilet, he foot falls into the toilet. I hope that toilet wasn't full. Goldust says, "Come on, the Golden Truth." Truth says, "I don't want to tag with you." Because he's a weirdo and he's got poop on his foot. Goldust reminded Truth that he had his last partner was Little Jimmy, and he's imaginary. And Truth took exception about him being imaginary. So obviously another tease, which I'm loving this team already. And I remember a year ago when I was writing an article for tag teams that I like to see form, I wanted to see Goldust and Big Show, a couple of veterans that I think could work well together. Well, Phil replaced Big Show with R-Truth, and I think is exactly the same thing as what I thought with Goldust and Big Show. So I'm excited to see eventually this team work together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. The New Day entered for the main event against Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns. And another great promo from the New Day, as always. New Day, the best thing going in the WWE today. If you don't agree with me, well, you're fucking wrong. Go back and check out, I think we posted it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard. And I believe I posted the interview with Michael Cole's weekly interview on Wednesdays. And he had the New Day, and it was completely entertaining. Loved it. It was great. They talk about the Rock, how they shamed him. Shame. And then they pointed out a kid in the crowd who was doing the New Day grind, and the cool thing was the kid was wearing a Bullet Club shirt, and that was a great moment. And then the New Day said they'll still fight the kid, but it'd be out of love. That was so funny. Always great, and always fresh to see the New Day's just fresh, and they've been together almost a year now, well, over a year. But I mean, this kind of evolution of the New Day has not been quite of a year yet. They were kind of more of that positive type of vibe thing at this time, but they've been together and doing this for a while now, and it continues to be fresh, and I love it. So that leads to the main event between New Day and Reigns and Ambrose, and this was a great match as well. Probably the match of the night between these guys. And in the end, the good guys obviously won because both Ambrose and Reigns are in a WWE World Heavyweight title match coming up at Fastlane. But a very good match between these guys. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and that ended Raw. And as the New Day were beaten down on Reigns and Ambrose post-match, Lesnar's music hits, and he gives an F5 to Ambrose. So there you go. Maybe Triple H hurt Ambrose's pride or ego or something, and they decided to get Lesnar out there to attack Ambrose, and because according to Lesnar, Ambrose broke that 11th commandment. Going to NXT today. Going to NXT for you now next. This aired just this past Wednesday. And we kick off the show with, in English, Simon Gotch, the Vaudevillains, taking on the Hype Bros. And obviously you can see it in the ring from the Vaudevillains. They are now kind of doing more heelish things again. Even the crowd still loves them. The Full Sail's never going to hate the Vaudevillains. So, but they definitely had a more aggressive style to their repertoire. A lot of people think the Hype Bros are coming to the main roster. I just don't see the Hype Bros succeeding on the main roster at all. I don't know. Just not something ain't clicking with me there. I think they definitely need more time in NXT to grow, but obviously they're not getting over in NXT. I don't know what means it means they would get up the ladder in the main roster. I don't know, but in the end, obviously the Vaudevillains get the win there. Then Tom Phillips did an interview with Carmella, talking about how she's going to be facing her best friend Bayley next week here on NXT. So we'll definitely break that down. We're recording on Monday after Raw, I think, next week, since I'm leaving town, so we won't get that. Next week's episode of Lost in the Midcard will not include NXT, so in a couple weeks we'll break down that women's title match, which I can expect to be very fun. Alex Reyes is backstage interviewing Dash and Dawson, and Alex asks him about Carmella, Enzo, and Cass, and wonders how should they respond to the challenge of Enzo and Cass. He said they are the same song and dance. They're like Groundhog Day. They demanded a title match and were given it in London. They lost, like they always do. They can ask for an opportunity for the tag titles, but they'll never win them. And so basically putting themselves over, as they should. They're the best tag team right now. They got the championship belts. So we go from there to Carmella against Emma. And pretty decent match, fairly quick, but pretty decent match, basically to put Carmella over to get her ready for Bayley in the title match next week. Got an interview with Sami Zayn talking about the up-in-the-air decision in that triple threat match for the number one contendership. And Zayn says, at the end of the day, it is out of his hands. It is William Regal's decision to make. He hopes Regal makes the right decision. He says both men can make a claim for winning the match, and Sammy says, well, he had the sharpshooter applied longer. That's why he should be declared the winner. They didn't cut to Joe, who was asked about his thoughts. He just shoved the cameraman away and walked off, as a great asshole that Joe is when he's a heel. Enzo and Cass come to the ring, and once again, their aggression level is through the roof, and their promo was again friggin' phenomenal. It's like, they got their usual shtick as they come to the ring, but then they cut a promo, and the promos have been great. Enzo talks about every time they've been knocked down, and if he had a dime for every time they stayed down when they were knocked down, they'd have 0 dimes. And they're still standing on their own 2 feet with lint in their pockets. Great. They took on a couple of jobbers, so that was pretty quick. Asuka. We go to William Regal's office for his official decision. He says after reviewing the match, there will be a rematch. And after he says a rematch, Baron Corbin came in and says he better be talking about what happened last week and it better be a rematch. And Regal tells Corbin, well, yeah, there's one thing that was conclusive. You tapped out. You lost. You're not in the match. And so Samoa Joe will face Sami Zayn, and the winner will face Finn Balor. We then cut to the ring. Asuka comes to the ring and takes on Santana. Santana got a nice little pop, as she used to be in TNA. And she's also from Florida, so a lot of people in the crowd knew who she was. But basically, another squash match there. Asuka getting over. We fully expect Asuka to be taking on Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT Dallas. Finn Balor, Apollo Crews non-title match was the main event for NXT, and a lot of wrestling, a lot of locks, a lot of holds to start the match. Finn Balor, very impressive with a side headlock, and Apollo Crews tried everything to get Balor off of him, and nothing worked. It's pretty cool, slow start to the match. But then the match totally picked up in pace. Apollo Crews and Finn Balor both doing some phenomenal moves. A great match between everybody. Kind of interesting, different ending for Balor in the match as Balor hits the coup de grace, and then Bloody Sunday finishes the matchup. So we got the end there with Bloody Sunday. Finn Balor gets the win. After the match, Balor helps Cruz up to his feet, and they shake hands and hug. Great sportsmanship way to end NXT. And so there you go, NXT. Pretty good show. A lot of squash matches, which I guess the squash match ain't too bad because you get to see some of your favorite superstars just kind of own it. You get to see them cut promos and all that stuff. And so fairly good. It's good to see Santana in NXT. Hopefully she sticks around. And other than that, yeah, a pretty decent episode of NXT as always. Looking forward to that women's title match next week. This week in pro wrestling, 1990, Jushin Liger wins his second IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, defeating Naoki Sano in Osaka, Japan. Put that into context, that 25 years later, he debuted at NXT. Legendary for, definitely a legendary career for Liger. In 1994, the Rock and Roll Express were defeated for the USWA Tag Team titles in Memphis, Tennessee to the Moondogs. And the Moondogs consisted of Rex and Spot. Vince must have been in charge of booking back then, because that is a terrible name. This week in 2004, Zach Mercury defeats Kenny Omega for the Canadian Wrestling Federation Heavyweight title in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Kind of gives you the idea that Kenny Omega, who is rumored to be the man to take over the Bullet Club, he's been in the business for a while, so he's definitely a capable hand to lead the Bullet Club. Hopefully they can continue the momentum that they have in New Japan with losing AJ Styles and Anderson and Gallows. In 2010, Vince McMahon made the announcement that in 3 weeks' time, ECW will be going off of the air. And I'd like to thank everybody that had a hand in ECW. Unfortunately, this was not the ECW we grew up on. This was a WWECW. So unfortunately, it didn't last long, and just, it led to some good debuts and careers. CM Punk, Sheamus. Sheamus and Goldust had a great feud on ECW. Matt Hardy was in ECW. Christian just was not ECW. It was something else. So, and people quit watching. That's why it got canceled. This week in 2014, Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter popped up for a cameo in the 1980s themed Radio Shack commercial during the Super Bowl. The commercial featured a ton of 80s celebs, including Jason from Friday the 13th, Chucky, Mary Lou Retton, Dee Snider, Kid and Play, Alf, the California Raisins, and one of my favorite Super Bowl commercials of that year. 1960, Kerry Von Erich was born in Niagara Falls, New York, and obviously the Von Erich family, big WCCW ties, and I'm sure once the announcement of the Fabulous Freebirds going into the Hall of Fame, you're going to hear a lot about the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, which is one of the greatest feuds in wrestling history, to be honest. 1973, All Japan Pro Wrestling becomes a member of the National Wrestling Alliance, which is some big news there. In 2006, this weekend, great wrestling names basically is what I'm getting at here. 2006, Psycho defeats Tommy Penmanship for the Chaotic Wrestling New England title. Tommy Penmanship. Okay. I don't think there's a guy alive with the last name of Penmanship. Penmanship means you can write well. How is that a wrestling name? I don't fucking know. I don't even know how this other one's a wrestling name either. In 2007, Mason Rage defeats Vinny Viagra at Ohio Championship Wrestling. Vinny Viagra. I hope he didn't wrestle with a hard-on. That'd be a little awkward. This week in 1959, Super Bowl 21 and 25 champion and WrestleMania 11 main eventer Lawrence Taylor was born in Williamsburg, Virginia. Also, happy birthday this week, Chris Sabin was born in 1982 in Pinckney, Michigan. And finally, kind of a fun tag team this would be a fun tag team to watch back in the day. In 1991, Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Lawler defeated the Fabulous Ones in Memphis, Tennessee to win the USWA Tag Team Championships. I think Jarrett and Lawler had been a fun tag team to watch back in the day. All right, it is time to go to Lucha Underground. And I tell you what, man, this Lucha Underground season 2 premiere was phenomenal. We open with recaps of season 1, where Mil Muertes captured the championship from Prince Puma, and that means that Muertes and Katrina gained control of the Lucha Temple, which prompted the Lucha Underground promoter Dario Cueto to go underground and on the run because of after the murder of El Dragon Azteca. Azteca was murdered by the Black Lotus, who was manipulated into believing Azteca killed her parents. And so they decided to go on the run, which gave control of the temple to Muertes and Katrina. Cuerto noted that she just started a lucha war. We'll see what that means eventually. The luchadors all departing the temple for parts unknown, and Vampiro promised to take his protege, Pentagon Jr., to a dark place. And then a big question mark was seen spray painted over the Lucha Underground sign. That's what ended season 1. A lot of cliffhangers and such, and we open up in a psychiatric ward with Vampiro. He's being evaluated for release, and they show some flashbacks of the brutal match between him and Pentagon Jr. Busted open with light tubes and all sorts of shit in that match. It was violent. And the doctor asks if all those violent thoughts are gone, and and Vampiro lies and says, yes, they're all gone. Even though he did have a kind of a flashback of him beating the hell out of the guy that's evaluating him. But eventually he says the right things, and he's been given a powerful antipsychotic medication. And he's got one condition on his release: never go see the people that cause the violent impulses to trigger. And, I don't know. He says he's going to stay away from those, but we know better. They ask if anybody can pick him up. They cut to a scene where Vampiro meets Matt Stryker in the desert, and they get into a car. Vampiro asks if he still has a job. Stryker says they have an invitation for them to return to the temple, but it is a much darker place. And that makes Vampiro smile. But man, great opening. Just the cinematic drama in the beginning with Vampiro. I just thought that was phenomenal, and you don't see that in professional wrestling at all. And that's what sets Lucha Underground apart from everybody else is their cutscenes and stuff. And that one to open up the season, Vampiro in a psychiatric ward, was just phenomenal. They cut to the temple where Katrina is in Dario Cueto's former office, and she says that she's surprised that he has returned, and they show Phoenix. Phoenix says he's ready for his title shot, as Phoenix has the Gift of the Gods Championship, which was a 7-weight dance on the end of the first season at Lucha Underground. All 7 medallion winners got a chance for the Gift of the Gods belt, which was won by Phoenix. And Katrina says, well, he does have the Gift of the Gods, which guarantees him a title shot, but someone's been hunting him down, King Cuerno, and they're going to face off tonight. And she says that there will be no guarantee that Phoenix will be champion next week because the Gift of the Gods belt is going to be on the line. So then we kick it off, and Mil Muertes is watching over the proceedings in the temple from a throne, which is pretty badass. And so then we kick off the show right off the bat with King of the Gods Championship, Phoenix against King Cuerno. Here you go, King Cuerno ends up beating Phoenix for the Gift of the Gods. So now Cuerno has the championship. And so just like that, Phoenix has lost it, no longer in the running for to face Mil Muertes. They show former Trios champions Angelico, Son of Havoc, and Ivelisse arriving on their motorcycles and looking at the temple. The story between those three was they didn't get along. Havoc and Ivelisse used to have a romantic relationship, and Angelico kind of got in the middle of it, and then finally they decided to get along, and they won the Trios championship, which they no longer hold as the disciples of Mil Muertes. Currently hold the belts there. Inside the temple, they meet Katrina, and they have returned to get their Trios championships back. And Katrina says Mil Muertes wants to see them fight each other. And Havoc says they spent the last year trying to get on the same page. They are not going to let it get torn apart. But Katrina then says the winner of the match gets a championship shot at Mil Muertes tonight. So then they agree that they will fight each other. So then that leads right on to that triple threat match between Son of Havoc, Ivelisse, and Angelico. A great match between these three. Angelico is probably one of my favorite guys on Lucha Underground, and Ivelisse is just amazingly beautiful. And out of nowhere, Ivelisse took out Havoc's legs on the top rope and catches Angelico with the La Magistral and gets the pinfall. So Ivelisse is going to face Mil Muertes for the Lucha Underground Championship later on. And, that match is right now. And basically, Katrina tried everything she could, but Muertes defeated Ivelisse pretty handily. Katrina stood over the ring over Ivelisse and was going to do the lick of death, but instead shoves her down and orders Muertes to chokeslam her again. But Prince Puma saves the day and escapes with Ivelisse before any more harm can be done. Then as Muertes is staring at them on the floor, Pentagon Jr. hits the ring to a big pop and snaps Muertes' arm. And so Pentagon Jr. is back to his arm-breaking routine. It's going to be interesting to see what Vampiro has in store with Pentagon, as we now know that Vampiro is that higher power that was leading Pentagon Jr. to break all those arms. So it'll be very interesting to see to how that goes from here. We finally see Dario Cuerto at the end, and Black Lotus is with him, and 3 men are there looking for a fight, and they heard that there's an underground fight club. Cuerto says they've come to the right place, and basically says that we love violence, and Black Lotus kind of gives a few punches to the guy that was questioning what the chick was doing here. I think she showed him. Cuerto told him it's $20 each and to enter, and so they walk into the door, and one asks who's fighting tonight, and Cuerto says you are. Closes the door, and inside we hear an attack and someone beating them apart, and obviously that's teasing that it's Cuerto's monstrous unseen brother. We haven't seen him yet on camera. We just know he'd been locked up all of season 1, and he's on the run with him and Lotus right now. So I'm assuming he'll be debuting eventually, probably to take on Mil Muertes to regain control of Lucha Underground. So amazing episode to start the year off. Lucha Underground is so unique, and I've said this on the show before. My biggest worry there is that it's hard to differentiate the wrestlers with the characters, because everybody's got their own look and style, but is it hard to separate those characters? And Lucha Underground does a phenomenal job of differentiating everybody from Pentagon Jr., King Cuerno, Mil Muertes, Prince Puma, on and on and on. It's great, and so I'm glad to see it back. I'm glad it's greenlit for a 3rd season. It's definitely a great wrestling alternative, and we'll break down episode 2 next week. We're going to close out the show this week with Ring of Honor, and they're in North Carolina with Masada, the king of the death match is what they called him. I've never seen him before, but he's kind of got that, he's a big bulky guy, kind of an alternative look to him, and definitely impressed with this dude. I like this Masada dude, and he took on Roddy Strong in his open challenge for the television title, and he put on a beating with Roderick Strong, but in the end, Roddy did get the advantage there. After the match, Bobby Fish came out and asked if we were going with Roddy versus the World, and Bobby says that Strong better hope that he takes up residence on another planet because Final Battle changed your life. And basically, Roddy says Roddy versus the World says to you, come into the ring each and every week to defend the title against everybody not named Bobby Fish. And he doesn't blame Roddy for that, and basically Roddy said, well, I've already beaten you, but Bobby is still trying to kind of goad Strong into getting another match out of him for the television title. We get the next match in the top prospect tournament, and Punisher Martinez is a very imposing dude, very impressive guy, and he faces Colby Corino, who's about 100 pounds less. And Punisher basically, Corino tried to do some attacks on Punisher to no avail. There was a slight bit of a flurry of offense from Corino, but in the end, it really didn't do no good. Martinez hit a killer choke slam on Corino for the win, so Punisher Martinez advances to the second round. After the match, BJ Whitmer goes into the ring and says he has something to say. He tells Colby that he did good. He wants Colby to tell his old man to take that mask off. BJ asks if Colby expected anything else from the man who abandoned him and his mother while starting a new family. That is the man who spent the past Christmas with his new wife and new son, while he spent Christmas with his family in his home. And BJ says he will give Steve one more chance to redeem himself and tells him to take off the mask or he will have fate determine his actions. Mr. Wrestling 3 says he is not Steve Corino, and BJ does not know what he's talking about. That leads BJ to grab Colby's throat and then told Colby that he embarrassed BJ and he would not know, basically saying that it's betrayal, but then he forgives Colby, but he cannot forgive the sins of his father. Hits 4 exploder suplexes on Colby, and then as we go to commercial, we see Mr. Wrestling 3, who we all know is Steve Corino, helping Colby back to the ring. So Nigel McGuinness takes Mr. Wrestling 3's spot for the main event, which saw Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly take on Adam Cole and Jay Lethal. Truth Martini and Taylor Hendricks were along the for the ride. Another phenomenal tag match, obviously, kind of basically just a lead up for the triple threat match at Anniversary between 3 of those 4 guys. And Chasing the Dragon was attempted, but Lethal escaped in the end. And Lethal pushes Kyle into Fish, and Cole goes in with a bicycle kick, and Lethal hits a nice backbreaker, and then followed by a Cole super kick, and then the Lethal combination. But Red Dragon was able to get out of that. In the end, though, they finally did get Chasing the Dragon on Adam Cole for the 3 count. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish are your winners. Jay Lethal left unpenned. So as we head into the Anniversary celebration, right now, Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly on top, Bobby Fish on top. We might finally expect Fish to take on Strong again at Anniversary if Strong finally cracks. Adam Cole getting the pin. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. If this is the time for Jay Lethal to give up that belt, or or if Kyle O'Reilly gets the belt for the first time, or Adam Cole gets it for the second time. So I could see any of those 3 winning that match, which is gonna lead to complete excitement going into the main event of the Anniversary show. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Lost in the Midcard. I hope you enjoyed just myself here, and hopefully we get Mr. Matt Black with us next week. I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and also thank you to SpiderDuck.net for allowing us to be on iTunes and any of your favorite podcasting apps. All you need to do is search for Lost in the Midcard and subscribe. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, and the links for both iTunes and YouTube are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LostInTheMidcard. Just go to the notes section and you'll see the links right there. Again, thank you for tuning in to Lost in the Midcard. My name is JB, and we'll catch you next week.